Huzzah. Thank you, Bridget.
You're welcome. Thank
Pressing the
you.
button I clearly couldn't find. Okay, again, welcome everybody. We are the Bureau of Water Resources at Mass DEP. Our commissioner is Bonnie Heipel, our assistant commissioner is Kathleen Baskin, and we have a new deputy assistant commissioner, Kate England. Very excited to have her. If we could advance, Bridget. Just some housekeeping instructions. We did have a lot of registrations today. So in the event that anybody has ended up in the live stream overflow, we will be doing some question and answers today. If you have a question during this presentation, email it to andrew.andresco@mass.gov, and we will communicate internally and make sure that we get to answer your questions during the meeting today. You are viewing after the event, please feel free to shoot me an email at courtney.starling@mass.gov. Also, these slides again will be posted, so they are hyperlinked so that if you don't catch them fast enough today, don't worry about writing fast enough. Okay, can we advance again? All right, briefly a workshop of agenda today. We're going to do some quick staff introductions. It's always helpful to know who it is that you're trying to find at the state when you're trying to find somebody at the state. So we want to make sure that you have contacts for each program. We're going to go through Applicant 101, which is just a very brief lightning round on some of the tips of the trade for applying. We'll have a quick Q&A for applications. And then we'll move on to the grant introductions and do a longer Q&A for the grants themselves. So without further ado, if we could move on to Applicant 101, let's do this. Okay, so as you know already, I am Courtney Starling. I'm a grant administrator for the Bureau. We also have several other panelists with us today. We have Andrew Andresco, who will be presenting slides, Daniel Padian, Sylvia Agudelo, and Judy Rondo, some of our program staff, and of course, my boss, Bridget Monster, is with us. We've tried to identify on the slide who the appropriate people are per program, so that if after the fact you have a project that you have some questions about, want to get into it, please reach out to us. We are more than happy to help. Next slide, please. And the next one. All right, so one of the most common questions we get is, how do we know about grant opportunities? We are working on a system that collects all of the grants together. EEA has recently launched it, but right now for all of the grants in the state, because there's a few different platforms that we use among agencies, Combis is still the best place to get your information. What you need is your business legal name, your address, and your tax ID number. And the most important thing to know about grant opportunities is that if you'd like to be notified of them every time one is posted, you need to use the National Standard Product Services Code, which is very obvious, I would say, but those numbers are 00-00-00. That will get you every grant from every agency in the state. And also, if you're looking for specific procurements or grants to DEP, ours is 771100. Next slide, please. So let's say an RFR does get posted. What are some good things to know? There's a couple of easy to miss directions that happen pretty frequently, so we always like to call it out. Page limits seems to be kind of a perennial one. If the RFR instructions call out a page limit, please do mind the page limit. You go over the limit, that can be a reason to have an application rejected. It's not a great reason, so we just kind of like to call that one out. Follow your submission instructions. We have a variety of platforms, as I stated. Some of them are submitted via email, some of them are submitted via grant management software, and some of them are submitted via Combis. And so just kind of keep an eye out for what the instructions are, in the RFR. You'll always want to look at the evaluation criteria because those are the actual criteria that we are scoring on. The only things we score on are in the criteria. There's no soft factors. All of it has to be just what's in the criteria. Sometimes RFRs will have within the body of the text items, actions, or project elements that will increase the competitiveness of the project. We have some applications or some grant programs where the scores are pretty close. So finding that way to kind of be more competitive is one of the perennial questions. And so look for the things that are encouraged. If you have questions, like I said, please talk to us before the RFR is posted or after applications are due. In the interim, RFRs do have a question and answer protocol that's identified in them. They're typically submitted via questions or questions via email, and the answers get posted online. We also do periodically have pre-application meetings, particularly for new programs. Next slide, please. There are several forms that we use every time a contract is executed. These forms are available online. They largely can be signed electronically. And so this is just one of those things that if you're planning to get a grant, this is something that you can do ahead of time. Next slide, please. Last thing, this has been a surprise element for folks, but we do use an alternative W-9 with the state. And so when you do send W-9s to us, please make sure that you are using the one that is available online or that we sent to you. The correct one will have an April 22nd date on it under W-9 and will say it's the Massachusetts substitute form. Next slide. The standard federal one will say March 24th under W-9. They look very similar, but they're not in fact the same form. Next slide. Do we have any questions about applications?
Currently, there aren't any questions about applications in the chat.
Okay. All right then. We are going to go ahead then and move on to the actual showcase of grants, and I'm going to hand things over to Judy Rondo and WPP to introduce herself for programs and what we'll have on our answer. Oh.
All right. Can you hear me okay? I've got my video open, but it's not showing me, so I just want to make sure you can hear me okay. Courtney, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, phew, that was scary. All right, so hi everybody. I'm Judy Rondo, and I am the Non-Point Source Outreach Coordinator in the Non-Point Source Management section at the Watershed Planning Program. So I have 3 grants that I'm going to introduce, and then I will wrap up with a shameless plug. So if we could move to the next slide. So the first of our grants is our Water Quality Monitoring Grant. This is a state-funded grant to support volunteer water quality monitoring efforts. Eligible entities include federally recognized tribal nations within the Commonwealth and nonprofit organizations. This grant funds new and ongoing surface water quality monitoring, capacity building activities that will lead to the development of regional and long-term water quality monitoring programs and networks. Eligible expenses under this grant include equipment and supplies, staff salaries, external lab and consultant fees, the development of data management tools, instrument calibration and repair. We have $200,000 available for fiscal year 25, and there is no match requirement for this grant. We anticipate that the RFR will be released in the fall of 2025. Richard Face and Bob Smith from the Watershed Planning Program are program staff, and Courtney Starling is the grant staff. Next slide, please. So the second of our grants is the first of our two federally funded grants. So this is the Clean Water Act, Section 604B Water Quality Management Planning Grant. This grant funds activities that are associated with the restoration and protection of water quality pursuant to the Clean Water Act and the goals of the 2025-2029 Massachusetts Non-Point Source Management Plan. This includes activities such as water quality data and assessment, pollutant source identification, load assessment and modeling, regional scale watershed planning, the planning and design of implementation projects, the development of watershed planning documents, and support for regional non-point source coordinators. Eligible entities for this grant include all units of government, so that includes organizations like regional planning agencies and councils of government, municipalities and counties, conservation districts, tribes, and interstate agencies. The amount of funding available for fiscal year 25 is to be determined. There is no required match, although providing match may make your proposal more competitive. We anticipate that the next RFP will be released in the fall of 2025. And Megan Selby is the 604B grant coordinator, and I've provided her contact information there. If you have any questions, you can reach out and contact her. Next slide. So the second of our two federally funded grants is the Clean Water Act Section 319 Non-Point Source Implementation Grant. So where 604B will fund planning activities, 319 will fund implementation projects. And the idea is that a grantee would conduct assessment and planning activities through 604B and then apply for implementation funding through the 319 grant. So 319 funds projects that restore waters that are listed on the Massachusetts Integrated List of Waters or are identified as healthy waters. It funds projects to build local capacity and otherwise address the goals of the Massachusetts Non-Point Source Management Plan. Eligible activities include implementation projects, regional non-point source coordinators, and agricultural regional non-point source coordinators, and projects that demonstrate the use of new non-point source management technologies. Eligible entities include any public or private organization. The anticipated release for the combined federal fiscal year 2025-2026 RFP is in the spring of 2026. And at this point in time, the funding level is to be determined. 319 does have a non-federal match requirement of 40%. However, we are in the process of identifying the match internally, so we can waive some or all of that match requirement. And Malcolm Harper is the 319 grant coordinator. And again, I've provided his contact information there. If you have questions, you can reach out to him. Next slide, please. And now for my shameless plug. I mentioned the 2025 Non-Point Source Management Plan a couple of times. And so I just wanted to let you all know that the Non-Point Source Management section will be holding a virtual non-point source forum on Thursday, June 26th via Zoom. We'll be discussing the new non-point source management plan, and we'll also be sharing updates on Inspire, which is our non-point source capacity building tool, and the watershed planning tool, watershed-based plan tool, which is an online tool to aid in the development of 9-element watershed-based plans. So I will try to pop the registration link in the question and answer. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, or if you want to sign up for the forum, I will send the link to you directly. And also I ask that you please share the link with any colleagues that you think might be interested in attending. So that's it for me, Courtney. I'll hand it back to you, and I'll look forward to everyone's questions. Thank you. Courtney, I think you were muted.
Well, it would be a lot more helpful if you guys could hear me now, couldn't it? I'm just wondering why this has like, next slide, please. All right, we're going to move on to our groundwater and NIPD's program grants. Next slide. Okay, so we have the MS4 small stormwater system municipal assistance grant program. This is a grant program that funds projects that contribute to meeting MS4 permit requirements. This is a coalition grant, so while municipalities are welcome to apply, we do encourage them to apply in at least pairs or more. So if you are a municipality and you and some of your neighbors have similar concerns, forming a coalition is certainly a possibility with this grant. We also accept applications from regional planning agencies and stormwater coalitions to aid in MS4 compliance. We've had a number of projects in this program over the years, and we anticipate the RFR this year will be relatively similar to prior years. Last year, we had $250,000 available. We are not quite through budget season with the legislature, so we're not sure what we'll see for funding yet this year, but we do anticipate the RFR will be posted in the near future this summer, late early fall at the latest. Oh, and one quick shout out, we are getting a new stormwater coordinator. For those of you who knew Liz Clark, she left about 6 months ago and her replacement, Doug Hobby, will be starting on the 16th. So that's exciting for us. Next slide, please. The NRNSA grant is our Natural Resource Nitrogen Sensitive Areas grant. This is a Cape Cod grant for to meet watershed management plans or there's several activities, but watershed permits are the goal. So the planning activities that are eligible support the production of those plans for meeting the goals in those target those plans. Last year we had similar story. We don't know what we are getting quite yet this year. Last year we had $825,000 to grant. We will find out in the near future again about this program, how much funding will be in it, but we anticipate the RFR will be posted same timeline this summer or early fall. The water management program also has several grants and opportunities under it. The first grant is the Water Management Act grant. This is for public water suppliers with a Water Management Act permit. That is required for public water suppliers who draw, I believe, 10,000 gallons per day, might be 100,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, but a decently sized water supplier. And that is to perform projects that meet the water management permit that they have. Those are typically aimed at loss mitigation, yield studies, ground management plans, rate studies, planning projects for PFAS, outdoor water use restrictions, regulations, rebates. There's quite a bit you can do with it. It's a pretty flexible project. This one does require a match of 20%, so that is something to keep in mind. Last year we had $1 million to grant for this program, so we should find out soon. RFR is on the same schedule as the others. The Ipswich River Basin Water Supply and PFAS grant has similar eligible activities to the Water Management Act grant, but this is restricted to water suppliers that draw from the Ipswich River Basin. And this is largely to look at issues related to PFAS contamination or reducing water reduction overall on the Ipswich River to keep water flow and water levels healthy. One thought on that too. That grant will probably be a little later in the fall than the others, as that one typically takes a little longer for us to get posted. The last Water Management Act opportunity that will be available is the M36 Water Audit Opportunity, or as audits as I like to call them. Any community that or any water supplier that has a Water Management Act permit or registration is eligible for a top-down or a bottom-up water system audit. That's looking for generally water loss. This is basically offered, that if we post a request for interest, and any entity that responds to the RFI who is eligible generally receives a water audit that year. So it's a two-parter. The water audits are typically done. We get the request for interest posted, see how many we have. We hire a vendor after that. They're typically done over January through May. So that will be coming soon. And just keep an eye out for it. And now I'm going to hand it over to our friends in Wetlands and Waterways to first talk about one of our newest grants, which is the Boston Harbor Water Transportation Trust Fund Grant.
Thanks, Courtney. Hi, I'm Sylvia Agudello. I'm one of the regional planners in the Chapter 91 Waterways program. The Chapter 91 Boston Harbor Water Transportation Trust Fund grants are an opportunity for governmental, quasi-governmental, or nonprofit entities to apply for monies that are tied to specific sites where we've collected license and mitigation funds, and also to a small amount of money that is available for any cultural activities or educational activities that utilize existing water transportation. Every year it is an irregular grant opportunity, shall we say. The sites that they are tied to could change from term to term. Whether or not the grant is available from term to term will also be changing. In our last round, we awarded more than $2.5 million to 10 organizations. Your organization need not be located in the licensed site nor be a licensee. There aren't any other requirements. The match is encouraged but not required. The former score sheet and FAQs are available online at the link. We do very much run this as a team activity, and so we've provided the Waterways general email in order to not have anything fall through the cracks. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Oh, hi, Courtney. My name is Andrew Andresco. I'm the program coordinator for this grant, Emerging Contaminants in Small or Disadvantaged Communities. This provides grant funding to PWS or communities to plan, design, and construct long-term solutions to address emerging contaminants, including PFAS and manganese. Eligible projects are found in the ECSDC implementation manual from the EPA. These include, you can see some here, research and testing, planning and design, and interconnection and consolidation. Eligible entities are community PWS, either publicly or privately owned, or nonprofit transient non-community, or non-transient non-community water systems. They need to be located in a community in the Clean Water Trust's Disadvantaged Community Program, or serve a population of less than 10,000. If the PWS lacks capacity to incur debt sufficient to finance the project or activity. Special eligibility cases for interconnection or consolidation or private well connection projects are available. These funds are available for fiscal 22-23, fiscal year 24, and the program is hopeful to receive further funding for fiscal years 25 and 26. This grant is non-competitive and has no match required. Since this grant has rolling admission, the first step in the process is to complete a needs assessment survey form and submit that to Mass DEP's drinking water program at program.director-dwp@mass.gov, subject ECSDC grant, and your PWS ID number. Next slide, Bridget. This is our small, underserved, and disadvantaged communities drinking water grant. Eligible activities for assistance include investments necessary for a public water system in a small and disadvantaged community to return to compliance with the Safe Drinking Water Act, efforts that benefit a disadvantaged community on a per household basis, programs to provide household water quality testing, including testing for unregulated contaminants, and lastly, activities necessary and appropriate for a state to respond to a contaminant. States must fund activities that benefit underserved communities with consideration for those communities with the greatest needs. The SUDC program has been awarding funds to small, underserved, and disadvantaged communities for many years. We were notified of the funding by EPA 3 weeks ago and must submit a work plan by July 7th. The term underserved community includes a political subdivision of a state, and that's determined by the administrator that A, does not have household drinking water or wastewater services, or B, is served by a public water system that violates or exceeds, as applicable, a requirement of a national primary drinking water regulation issued under Section 1412. We work with the regional offices in determining need. If you feel your PWS qualifies for this funding, please reach out to Janine Bishop or your regional office. Next slide, Bridget. We are very excited about this new grant program, Engineering and Design Planning for Public Water Suppliers. When we were evaluating the ECSDC grant applications, it became apparent that many of these small systems in disadvantaged communities did not have the technical or financial capacity to develop the necessary engineering and design plans to address emerging contaminants in their public water supplies. Since readiness to proceed was a factor for consideration, many PWSs interested in the ECSDC grant were prepared to move forward and considered before those without design plans. Engineered plans are a necessary precursor to apply for our grants, SRF loans, or financial assistance, so we developed this program. An RFQ was posted on ComBuys, and 2 firms were selected from those who submitted bids, CEI and Fuson O'Neill. They are ready to begin work once we finalize the grant application for the PWSs. Once applications are reviewed and accepted, we will notify both the PWS that work can commence. While these firms will work closely with the PWS, we will be working with the firm to coordinate payments, so billing ought not be a concern. Last slide, Bridget, for me anyways. Cybersecurity improvement grants. In response to increasing cybersecurity threats against critical infrastructure, including the water and wastewater sectors, the Mass DEP Drinking Water Program has expanded its efforts to support public water systems across the state. To support PWSs in improving their cybersecurity defense, mitigating the risks of cyber attacks, and enhancing overall resiliency and compliance, Mass DEP has launched a cybersecurity improvement grant targeted at small and disadvantaged communities. There is $2 million in total funding. The eligibility criteria, small systems, so PWSs serving less than 10,000 people are eligible statewide. PWSs serving 10,000 or more must be located in a disadvantaged community as defined by the Mass DEP. Eligible systems can receive up to $50,000 for projects focused on operational technology improvements. Examples of some of the eligible projects are listed on this slide. The application process, applications are being accepted on a first-come, first-served basis. So far, 25 PWSs have already taken advantage of this opportunity. If you have any questions on this grant, you may contact the Mass DEP Drinking Water Program at program.director-dwp@mass.gov, subject Cybersecurity Grant. If required, cyber technical assistance providers will be assigned to answer any questions on the application process or projects. Thanks.
think you're muted, Courtney.
Well, guys, that sounded good. Had I been unmuted, sorry about that. The Water Infrastructure and Planning Grant is offered through the Clean Water Trust. We have two state revolving fund programs related to water. One is the drinking water program and the other is the clean water program. Clean water generally includes wastewater, stormwater, and groundwater issues, whereas drinking water is potable drinking water. The infrastructure and planning grant offered through the CWT is more or less kind of your intro into the SRF program. The state revolving funds are largely used for loans for major capital projects. We also operate a few grants out of the program. This is one of the grants from the program. But should you be a municipality that might have a sizable project in either the drinking water or clean water category, you might be a good SRF candidate. To get into that process, you generally start with this grant and do your asset management plan, and that is so that you basically have a assessment of what is going on with your infrastructure and some prioritization of what it is that you need to be doing to move forward. And so in order to get the SRF loans and funds, this plan is the precursor to get that process started. Eligible entities are any city, town, special district that's going to be a utility district, generally speaking, for one of these loans, as well as a municipality subunit, local municipal water department, something of that nature, stormwater or water reuse treatment or conveyance system or public water systems. So it's kind of a wide variety of people who can apply for the program. Given that there's a wide variety of operators for infrastructure. Oh, key thing to tell you about, this is actually open right now. And if you are interested, the project evaluation form is the first step of the process. Prior to submitting that, I do recommend you get in touch with Michelle Higgins. Her contact information is provided at the beginning of the presentation. We can drop it into the slide as well. Since it's a tight turnaround between now and July, but at the same time, it's not closed yet. So we do recommend getting in touch with the SRF staff, should you have a project or interest. Next slide, please. We do have this is a mix of grant and loan on this slide that's coming up. The sewer overflow and stormwater reuse municipal grant program is a grant which allows up to $250,000 in funding to plan and design for sewer overflow and combined sewer overflow events, as well as stormwater mitigation projects in small communities and disadvantaged communities. We've used the term disadvantaged community a few times today during this presentation, just as just to demystify that that's based on income. It's a calculation, but it's more or less based on income, employment rate, population change, and I think it's one other factor in there, but that's what determines it. There's a map available online as well to determine whether or not your community is located in a disadvantaged community. We also have the Community Management Septic Program. This is a program that funds communities to devise a local septic management plan. It provides financial assistance to homeowners who need to make improvements, as well as there's a betterment agreement involved in that rides on the deed, as well as there's a loan program that we pass on to the municipalities to run for replacements. There is no project eligibility form required for either of these programs. The admissions are rolling, and again, if you're interested, get in touch with Clean Water Trust and SRF staff. Next slide, please. We also have planning project loans. This is also no PF required, and this is for a variety of whether it is drinking water or, excuse me, this is wastewater related. So again, we'll fund planning projects for CSO, for stormwater management plans, engineering work, studies, project evaluations, things of that nature, for long-term infrastructure projects. And we also have the lead service line planning program, which is a grant replacement loan, which funds not just a clever name, it funds lead service line replacements to help folks meet EPA drinking water standards. We have what we refer to as our grant cousins, which are related loans and grants in EEA. For those of you unaware, DEP is a department that lives within the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. And so some of our cousins in EEA include DER, MDR, Fish and Wildlife. There's a variety of us, but we all live in there. Some related programs, DCR operates a few programs that are related. The culvert replacement program can certainly be related on stormwater issues, as well as the drinking water supply protection grant program, which enables communities to purchase land for water quality protection purposes. The MVP program is the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program that has some overlap on some of the issues that cover as well, but is related more to hazard mitigation. But again, stormwater work and hazard mitigation sometimes go hand in hand, as well as drought management, things of that nature. There's a number of hazards out there, so making sure that we're prepared is good. The coastal habitat and water quality grants, if you are a coastal community and you need to protect marine resources, that can certainly be an option. There are also planning assistance grants for land use controls. Those are largely zoning related that are adopted locally that can be used to assist natural resource protection, zoning, and transfer development rights. They're some of the projects that they pay for. As I stated earlier, the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs has launched a new grant management platform. It is called GMS, and we have included a link to it on the presentation slides. A lot of EEA grants are posted there right now, and so most of the related loans and grants on this page get applied through that portal. So just kind of an FYI that is getting up and running and requires a mymass.gov login, which I think seems to be the direction that the website is moving. So the mymass.gov logins may be required for additional work in the future as well to do business with the state. And we always like to mention that there are a number of related grants, particularly for infrastructure, MassWorks program that's available on the community one-stop forward development application. It's operated by other agencies, but we do like to let you know that exists as well to keep everybody informed of potential opportunities. And with that brings us right on time to our next round of questions. I saw that we had a few in the chat. And then I think from there, we'll just go to a hand raise and unmute situation, if that sounds okay with everybody. All right. Okay. So we had a question available, or we had a question regarding funding or source of funding that was earlier in the chat that I accidentally deleted, didn't mean to. For our grants, they are state funded in this presentation unless otherwise noted by FFY, that's the federal fiscal year. And the federally funded grants that we have are the 319 grant, 604B grant. SRF is federally sourced before it gets to the Clean Water Trust. And I think that help me out if there's any. I think that Andrew, is your grant federally funded as well?
It is.
It is. Okay, so emerging contaminants is also federally sourced. What is state sourced is the MS4 grant, the NRNSA, nitrogen sensitive grants, Water Management Act, Ipswich River PFAS, M36 is state funded. water quality monitoring grant, not to be confused with 319 or 604B, but actual water quality is state funded as well. So like I said, unless it's otherwise noted in the slide as a federally funded grant, the sources are state funds. And either way, if we are contracting the funds, we expect that the funding will be safe and available. Let's see here, anybody else? Not sure I understand that question. Okay, we have a question submitted about anticipated federal budget cuts to SRF. The question says, with the anticipated federal budget cuts to SRF and other EPA programs, do you see any impacts to the funding programs discussed today? If it is state funded, generally no. If it is federally funded, we are not sure. And we have some federal funds that were awarded in prior years. Those we are still working through spending, and so future federal funds are somewhat, they're working through the budget as well right now in Congress, and so we can either confirm or deny which direction that's going to head. We do anticipate, based on what is being proposed, that the SRF will get less funding than we are used to this year. But more than that, we really don't know anything more than the next guy. But the majority of our state funded grants are funded from the capital fund, and so those will be happening. Okay. All right. Can a town which has sewer overflows, particularly if they affect a water body or well water, receive grant funds to conduct investigations and repairs of the sewer system too? Yes. So much yes. If you have a CSO problem or an SSO problem, please get in touch with us. We do have grants available for that, and we have loans available for that. And so depending on who you are and what your specific issue is, what your population is, your other demographic factors, we can help point you to the right location to get some assistance with your sewer overflows. Because we too would like that to stop happening for you. Okay. Let's see here. There's a question about getting funded to test for PFAS. I'm not sure if that is a drinking water or a wastewater question. And so that really kind of depends on whether or not we're talking about drinking water or wastewater, and then whether or not we're talking about a public water supply, a private homeowner's well water, or if we are talking about a publicly owned treatment works. And so I don't have enough questions or enough information to answer that question necessarily, but the general answer is yes. With some qualifications, another one to get in touch. Okay. We have a question about the forum link. We'll drop that with a follow-up email. I will say that Zoom automatically sends that email out, but we can put the forum in the chat, and to make sure that Judy has as many of you as possible who are interested in non-point source solution.
Yep, I think we did drop it in the question and answer, and I think it's actually in the answered tab now. You can look for it there. Thank you.
All right, pilots to test install eco toilets residentially as a nitrogen mitigation tool. That is a cool thing. I don't have a grant for that specifically. NRNSA is as close as you get to that, but that's kind of ahead of the pack. I would recommend, though, getting in touch with the Mass Test Center, which is this septic test center for alternative technologies. And they may have some information or a better direction point for people who are kind of ahead of the road, whether they're considering eco toilets or urine diversion, permanent pool reactive barriers, and kind of more of the tech side of capturing nitrogen. But I like where you're going. PFAS in private homes and funding filter systems. Generally, no, but that's a qualified no as well, because we do fund programs where the local board of health becomes the pass-through on drinking water. And so it's, we don't directly fund private homeowners, but indirectly those opportunities are available on a community by community basis if they apply. Okay, I think that is what we've got in the Q&A for chat. Let's go head on over, look at our participants and find our raised hands. Okay. Do we have any attendees who have a question and would like to talk? Just go ahead and raise your hand. All right, I've got a Richard Jordan. Gonna unmute you.
You mentioned your agency is the Bureau of Water Resources. When I search for that, I see an Office of Water Resources.
We're a subdivision of DEP.
DEP,
And
not
so
DCR.
No, we're not DCR, we're part of DEP. And
Thank
so we are a subdivision. We also have the Office of Dispute Resolution. We've got Air and Waste Program, the Office of Air and Waste. We've got probably there's 5 or 6 others that I'm immediately not thinking of, but like all government, it's a labyrinth. And so on the family tree, we are EA and then DEP and then Bureau of Water Resources. And then everybody you see here from staff is from a different section.
It could be helpful to get a link to your office site and also a link to the disadvantaged communities map as well.
Absolutely, we will drop those into we'll drop those into the Q&A.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got Elizabeth O'Keefe.
You should be unmuted, Elizabeth.
Okay, might have taken her by surprise. We'll move on to the next one and come back. All right, we've got Ruby Chang.
Hi, I'm a member of the Board of Health in Great Barrington, and
Hi.
and I just wanted to know who would be the point person to go to discuss the situation in our public water drinking in parts of our town, and which grants we could apply for. Do you have a point person that can go through and say you could apply for this and this and this grant?
Yes, and the person that you're gonna want to talk to is not on this meeting right now. So what I'd like you to do is email me and then I'll make the introduction for you.
So I email Courtney
Yep,
Starling.
Starling@mass.gov and I will help get you to where you're going for your issues in Great Barrington.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay. I've got Sydney Picard. Sylvia, your hand's up too. What's up?
Yes, I just wanted to echo what you were saying about combis and hope that that gets added to the links that are distributed, because anyone can sign up for combis. You need not have been given a grant or be a vendor right now. And because it is government is very decentralized, as you've been pointing out, it's a great place to find information or learn about RFRs from many different sectors.
Including our friends in DCR.
Correct.
Do we have Sydney Picard with us? Might have taken them by surprise as well. All right, Joseph Kenny, you're on deck.
Thank you. Just curious, you mentioned earlier cybersecurity grants for small and disadvantaged communities. Are there plans or are there any available for any public water systems without that criteria, medium to large or anything like that?
Are you plans themselves or grants to create plans?
Grants to create plans or assistance.
Right now, the priority is because we don't have because we have limited resources right now, the priority is first the small and disadvantaged communities, but should there be remaining funding, there may be some opportunity for communities that aren't disadvantaged. That's a pretty specific question for the SRF. Though I know that we as a state are also working on our wastewater cybersecurity plan as well, because it's a issue and one that needs one that requires a fair amount of work, but at this moment, due to limited resources, the specific that specific program is possibly a no, but you might be able to approach the SRF planning programs and do it as a planning project as opposed to the cybersecurity grant. Would be another one to talk with staff about. That one's a Michelle Higgins question. And she's Michelle1L.Higgins@mass.gov.
Thank you.
Okay, Amy Maxner. Come on down.
Hi. So I had the question about PFAS testing, and I should qualify that I was wondering if there's any grants for like general environment part testing, like in a brook that's downstream from a synthetic turf field, something like that. Or does it have to be related to like drinking water and wastewater?
Could you repeat that one more time, but really loud?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sure. So my question was about the PFAS testing, and I was wondering if there's any grants available for testing in the general environment, like brooks and streams that are next to or downstream from a synthetic turf field, things like that.
The water quality monitoring grant is probably the closest. This is obvious, downstream effects are definitely a priority as we kind of are working to figure out, the full breadth of the issue of PFAS. And so while water quality monitoring tends to be there's prioritization within the program for specific areas or specific analytes or, there's kind of a triage of priorities. That might be a potential. Also, the 319 is implementation. That there might be some opportunities in the 319 program as well for sampling. But our main sampling grant is the water quality monitoring. Judy, do you have any thoughts there too?
Oops, I'm sorry, I missed part of the question.
She was talking, her question was about grants for sampling for PFAS in surface water.
Okay, yes, the 604B grant will fund water quality monitoring. However, I just want to point out that right now PFAS is not a priority. So any proposal that included PFAS sampling might not be ranked quite as high as proposals for other types of pollutants. And I believe, Bob Smith, I don't know if you're able to speak or not, but the water quality monitoring grant may fund PFAS sampling as well.
Okay, I tried to add Bob as a host. Yes, there he is. I saw him for a second. Bob.
Yes, I'm here. So I manage the water quality monitoring grant. Courtney is correct. That is a monitoring focused, sampling focused program. We do have priority analytes. PFAS has not been one of those. There are strategies, however, where if you bundle sampling with priority analytes and non-priority analytes, that can be of benefit to the competitiveness of your proposal. But if you have more questions, you can reach out to me directly. And I can answer some more questions and go over your, potential ideas prior to the RFR being announced, which is upcoming at some point in the near future.
Near future. And priority analytes in your program, Bob, are typically what?
Things like DO connectivity. We've had, I mean, this is historically, so every year we make determinations on what is the priority for that year. But historically, dissolved oxygen, continuous and discrete dissolved oxygen connectivity, lake, several parameters in lakes related to things like Secchi disk and nitrogen. I think what else has been priorities in the past? We've had some expansive ones where we've included, nutrients in the in streams and rivers as well. But PFAS has not been a priority analyte in any past cycle. Temperature monitoring as well, which typically happens anyway. So
Yeah.
Okay. Let me check. We are at 2:02, so in the interest of being respectful to folks' time, I'm gonna take one more question let's see, if we've got a hand up. Got several hands up. If we didn't get to your question today, again, please email us. We're more than happy. It looks like Peter Spahn is the next one up, and so Peter,
Hi, can you hear me?
I sure can.
I have a great closing comment. I wanted to thank everybody on the call for their interest in water quality, and I want to especially thank our hosts, all you guys who I see at the state, because I know it's not easy what you do, and I know it's not getting any easier, and it's very helpful to my town in Chelmsford, by the way, to have access to the kind of support you all provide. So I just wanted to thank you from the heart.
Well, thank you so much. That is a good comment to end on. All right, folks. As we have said already, we will be posting online.